Mariah had always prided herself on her dedication to her career. As a single mother, she worked tirelessly to balance her job with raising her son, Malik. She had been working at a large corporate office for the past 3 years, slowly climbing the ranks in marketing. It wasn't always easy, but she had figured out a rhythm. Until one fateful day that changed everything. It was a cold winter morning when Malik woke up feeling unwell. He had a fever, sore throat, and was visibly exhausted. Mariah knew she couldn't leave him at home alone, but she also couldn't afford to miss work. The bills didn't pay themselves, and her company had a strict attendance policy. After a moment of hesitation, she decided to take him with her. She set up a little area in her office with some toys, snacks, and his favorite cartoons on her phone, hoping he'd be occupied while she worked. However, within hours, her manager, Rachel, came into her office. She was glaring at Malik, and the tension was palpable. Mariah, this is a professional environment. You cannot bring your child to work, especially when he's sick. You need to leave, Rachel said curtly, her voice cold and detached. Mariah was shocked. She had expected some leniency given the circumstances. She explained that Malik couldn't be left home alone, but Rachel wouldn't hear it. You need to go. This is a business, not a daycare, she responded. Despite trying to explain her situation, Mariah was told to pack up and leave immediately. As she gathered her things, a knot formed in her stomach. She had just been fired, not for performance, but because of a situation that was completely out of her control. Mariah walked out of the office that day, her heart heavy, unsure of what the future would hold for her and Malik. Leaving the office felt surreal. Mariah had worked so hard to build her career, and now it had all come crashing down because of one moment. Her phone buzzed with messages from friends and family, but Mariah didn't have the strength to answer. Instead, she focused on Malik, who was quietly sitting beside her, unaware of the gravity of the situation. "Mommy, are we going home now?" Malik asked softly, his eyes tired from his illness. His innocent question broke Mariah's heart even further. She had promised him a better life, and now it felt like she was failing him. They headed back home, and Mariah spent the evening pacing back and forth, replaying the events in her mind. How had it gone so wrong? She had always been careful about following the rules, never wanting to be a burden, but today everything had changed. She called a few friends to vent, but they were just as shocked by her sudden termination as she was. The next day, Mariah sat down at her kitchen table, staring at the bills stacked in front of her. She had no idea how she was going to pay them, and her confidence was shaken. But she wasn't one to give up easily. She had always made it through the toughest of times, and this was no different. She quickly began searching for another job. She didn't have the luxury of taking time off or feeling sorry for herself. Malik needed her, and she was determined to provide for him. In the meantime, she started reflecting on the way her former boss, Rachel, had treated her. She felt humiliated, angry, and disappointed. How could anyone be so dismissive of a mother's love for her child? How could they prioritize policies over humanity? As Mariah scrolled through job listings, she kept thinking about what had happened. She couldn't let that be the final chapter of her career. It wasn't long before Mariah received a call from a recruiter. There was a position available at a new, up-and-coming company, and they were looking for someone with her skill set. Mariah's heart skipped a beat. This could be the fresh start she needed. The recruiter, named Laura, explained the position and the company's values. "We believe in flexibility and work-life balance," Laura said, "especially for working parents. Our environment is inclusive, and we understand that life doesn't always fit into a 9-to-5 box." Mariah's ears perked up. She wasn't used to hearing words like that from potential employers. Most companies were rigid, expecting workers to adhere strictly to corporate norms. The idea of a place that understood her situation felt like a breath of fresh air. She scheduled an interview with the company, and within a few days, she was sitting in front of her potential new boss, Claire. Claire had a warm, welcoming presence, and Mariah immediately felt at ease. She could tell that this was going to be different from her previous experiences. As they talked, Claire shared her own story. When I started my career, Claire said, I was a single mom too. I know how difficult it is to juggle work and family. There were days I had to bring my daughter to the office because I had no other option. My boss was understanding, and that made all the difference. Mariah felt a wave of relief wash over her. This woman understood. She wasn't just another boss, she was someone who had lived through the same struggles Mariah was facing. The interview went well, and the next day, Mariah received an offer letter from a company. She was thrilled, but this time, it wasn't just the job that made her excited. It was the company's culture, their belief in flexibility and understanding. She knew that this was the right place for her. Mariah started her new job with a sense of hope she hadn't felt in a long time. On her first day, Claire greeted her warmly and introduced her to the team. The office environment was light, collaborative, and welcoming. There were no rigid policies about personal issues, and the team was encouraged to support each other, especially when it came to family matters. Within a few weeks, Mariah found herself thriving. She was able to focus on her work without the constant worry about her son's well-being. She even felt comfortable enough to bring Malik into the office once when he was feeling under the weather. She set him up with snacks and toys in a quiet corner of the office while she worked, knowing that no one would judge her for it. Claire, noticing Malik, walked over and smiled. I know how hard it can be to juggle everything, she said kindly. When I was starting out, I was that kid. My mom had to bring me to work, too. I'm just glad you're here, doing your best. And that's what matters. Mariah's heart swelled with gratitude. She had finally found a place where she was seen, valued, and understood. It wasn't just about the job, it was about the people who worked there and the culture they had built together. She had found a company that truly believed in balance, empathy, and supporting one another. With her career back on track and her son thriving, Mariah realized that sometimes the most unexpected and painful moments lead to the greatest opportunities. The firing that had seemed like the end had actually been a new beginning, one that would allow her to grow both personally and professionally. As the months went by, Mariah grew more confident in her new role. She found that she could excel at work while also being there for Malik. The flexibility that Claire's company provided allowed her to feel like she could be a great mom and a successful professional at the same time. It wasn't perfect, but it was a balance that worked. One afternoon, as Mariah was leaving the office, Claire stopped her. I just wanted to thank you again for sharing your story, Claire said. It's not easy, but your strength and resilience inspire all of us here. Mariah smiled, grateful for Claire's continued support. It wasn't just about getting the job back. It was about having a boss who recognized her worth beyond her professional skills. She wasn't just a worker or an employee. She was a mother, a person with real struggles and real triumphs. Mariah's experience had taught her an invaluable lesson: the importance of empathy, understanding, and flexibility in the workplace. She had learned that it wasn't about fitting into a mold or following strict rules. It was about finding a place that supported her as a whole person. And with that, she knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. As she looked at Malik, who was now playing happily at home, she knew that this new chapter was just the beginning of a brighter future for both of them.